Well, as my helltaker video has quickly become my most successful video in less than a fortnight, I should really take this opportunity to capitalise on this and make more videos on other popular Monster Girl games. Unfortunately, there are not many good ones that haven't either been covered to death or are just straight up pornography, or both. So instead, here's a game from the early 2000s that no one but me probably gives a toss about. Need for Madness is a 2005 combat racing game by Egyptian creator Omar. It is essentially a remake of his earlier game Maniac Racers, and was succeeded in 2010 by a sequel, imaginatively named Need for Madness 2. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. The year is 2005, the Iraq War is in full effect, but worse for the planet, the Crazy Frog is topping the charts. Not that I was paying much attention, due to being only about 8 years old at the time. I was far more interested in playing video games. No one in my family actually played games at the time. My dad played Doom when it first came out, but that required him and 2 of his brothers just to work the controls, so that doesn't really count. As a result, we had no consoles, and the only PC was a little... outdated? This meant my choice of games was limited to a bunch of edutainment CDs, and The Incredible Machine. Please watch my videos, come on. Or internet flash games. Most of my flash games I got through a site called Miniclip, and my favourite could be found under the racing category. However, if you want to play the game now, well, you can't. I believe it has something to do with the Java version that you needed for the web player, or possibly it may be affected by Flash losing support later this year. Luckily, the game can still be downloaded as an application from their website, needformadness.com. This does include Mac and Linux support, but I have not tried these, so your mileage may vary. I can confirm that the Windows version runs perfectly on a modern Windows 10 PC. Well, maybe not perfectly. By default it launches in a windowed mode. This is resizable, but doesn't resize the actual game. This is done using this slider. Alternatively, you can use full screen that has a wide range of supports for different resolutions and frame rates, up to 4K, and still keeps the game the same size, so what's even the point? On a 1080p monitor, putting the game size slider to max should be big enough, and you'll quickly get used to it. The black space is also used occasionally, like if you take a particularly big hit, it will shake the whole screen window around. Well, 5 paragraphs in, and let's finally get into the gameplay. The controls are fairly straightforward. Use the arrow keys to steer, and the spacebar to both handbrake and do tricks in the air. That's pretty much it. You can also bring up a mini-map with S and change whether your arrow points to track or vehicles. Of note, other racers only show up on the mini-map when you have the arrow set to track vehicles. The objective of the game is to win the race. Nothing particularly groundbreaking here, it's a racing game. What did you really expect? However, what sets it apart is that you don't actually need to do a single lap in order to win, as you can simply smash up the other racers and win by default. A feature that turns what otherwise might have been a bland, low-res and forgettable game into a violent and exciting death race that I still play a decade and a half after it first came out. To aid you in your journey, you are given 5 starting cars, the majority of which are complete garbage. They get thoroughly outclassed in both speed and durability by almost every other car that you can unlock later. The only exceptions to this are Formula 7, whose Nat's foreskin-sized health pool is made up for the fact that it can rival the fastest, Radical one for speed, and Wow Canario, who's tough enough to waste others in the early to mid-game and thus escapes complete mediocrity. The stages are also fairly simple affairs, set in walled-off areas of Purgatory, 2005 web game. The stages are dotted with checkpoints that, if you're racing, you'll need to drive through to complete the race. There are also ramps that are important for keeping your power bar up. This affects the top speed of your cars, and as it decays, so does your speed. This can be kept up by doing tricks. The better the trick, and the better you stick the landing, the more meter you get back. Your health is restored by driving through floating fixing rings. As these both require launching yourself off ramps, bigger, slower cars can have a hard time getting repairs and keeping their speed up compared to the lighter, nimbler ones. Speed, however, may not be necessary if you simply drive around the track in the opposite direction, a tactic favoured by some of the more aggressive AI, especially in the second game. But we'll get to that later. While the graphics are hardly stunning, they work fine for what it is, and the cars, despite their low poly count, are still well recognisable as their real-life counterparts. The music, on the other hand, goes hard, with a unique track for each track, as well as the car select screen. They're all in the game's root folder, provided you have software that can run MOD files. The first stage is a simple loop circuit with repair hoops as part of its main track path. The second stage is a little more twisty, and teaches you that where the track goes is more of a loose suggestion, and it can be far more effective to cut straight across the void. Beating Stage 2 unlocks Mac's Revenge, a brown version of the GT Falcon used by another Mac from a Mad franchise. It also renders most of the previous cars straight to the garbage can, where they will stay forever.
Know your fucking place, trash!
Completing Stage 3 and 4 nets you Lead Oxide. Basically a side grade of Mac's with better handling and durability, but noticeably worse stunts, that makes its slow speed feel even slower. Its improved toughness may come in handy though in Stage 5 and 6, as these are presided over by the first proper waster of the cast, L King. L King is a semi-truck, and as such is both slow and going to cause you to eat shit if you get into a head-on collision. The higher lap count on his stages also means that he has greater opportunity to waste you, and can signify a bit of a difficulty spike over the last two. However, once you do beat Stage 6, you can now use him and go bully all those dumb enough to actually pick Nimmy. Like, seriously, that car is straight trash. This genocidal euphoria may not last long though, as Stages 7 and 8 are ruled by the One. The Radical One. Radical One is fast. Technically the second fastest in the game after Formula 7, but Radical One does not inherit Formula 7's brittle bone disease and osteoporosis, and thus is the best car for speed-based racing in the game. That is, however, once you've unlocked him. Until that point, the only car you'll be able to reliably catch up to him with is F7. So enjoy restarting the game when you get wasted by L King in the first second of the game. Once you've unlocked Radical One, only 3 stages remain. 9 and 10 are the domain of the one true ruler of Need for Madness, Dr. Monster. With strength to waste L King and speed to catch Radical One, he's the final boss of the game and will not let you forget that. Stage 9 is best beaten by racing with Radical One, but you're better off taking L King and dueling to death with the Doctor on Stage 10, as due to its window defroster track layout, Radical One can start to really rack up damage quite quickly. Once you've unlocked the Doctor, you unlock the 11th and final stage, the Mad Party. 11 laps, no repairs, box only, final destination. It's more of a victory lap than a real stage, designed for you to take Dr. Monster and just have some fun wrecking the competition. Victory here nets you a suitably 2000s victory screen. 5 years later, Radical Play would release Need for Madness 2 in 2010, boasting 17 stages this time, with 6 new cars, and later it would also add multiplayer, as well as both car and track creators. Their website still contains a tutorial on how to use the car creation tool, which is mostly maths and paper sketches. It really has a nice personal feeling to it. I love it. The number of races available has not only increased, but the number in each race too, raised from 5 to 7. Nimmy has also had a colour change, but who really gives a shit? In theory, this would make wasting victories harder, but they've added some more tools to help this too. The starting pool of cars, too, has been increased. Mac's Revenge and Lead Oxide are now available from the start, further pushing the Need for Madness 1 starters into obscurity. Tornado Shark has had its stats buffed a bit. Why they did this is a mystery, however, because, as mentioned before, Mac's Revenge is unlocked from the start, and Cool Cat has been added to the game that is Tornado Shark's objective upgrade. The first new unlockable car, Drifter X, based on the Mazda RX-7, has fairly atrocious handling, but given that it's literally a drift car, this is likely by design to maximise your Tokyo drift, and actually once you get the feeling down, he's actually fine to control. He's honestly my favourite to race with most of the time. The second new unlockable is the Sword of Justice, a good all-rounder with a bias towards wasting. Given its design, it can put up with and deal out a lot of punishment. Use it to show these racers the meaning of serve and protect. Beating Stage 6 gets you High Rider, similar to Sword of Justice but leans into racing more than wasting. Basically better Cool Cat, who is already better Tornado Shark.
Know your fucking place, trash!
Stages 7 and 8 see our first returning unlockable character, L King, and a welcome rival at this point, with a shiny new coat of teal paint to boot. Thanks to Sword of Justice, you now have a better option for man-fighting him, and feels a lot fairer overall, unlike a certain other. 9 and 10, previously the domain of the final boss, are now the playground of Mighty 8, an Audi R8, fast car with good durability to boot. A proper rival to Radical One, no longer requiring a car made of Pringles that is Formula 7 in order to keep pace. Stage 12 unlocks you. Stages 14 and 16 unlock Radical One and Dr. Monster in a similar fashion to Need for Madness 1, leaving you to enjoy your victory lap on the Mad Party with Dr. Monster and bring home the victory.
Did you really think you could escape? All shall fall. crushed by the mighty plough of the machine. I am the unholy incarnation of the Antichrist upon this accursed purgatory. You will bow before my rule. Prostrate yourselves before my majesty, weaklings.
No. We shall always stand against.
We? You are alone. You're not even a waster. Get out of my sight.
You're never alone. Behold the strength of the king.
King? What is a king to a god? Maybe it's time for some regicide.
No.
You.
That's right. Now come, my fellow racers, my rivals, my friends.
You can never amount to my strength.
Even so, come and get her. Change the future.
Yeah.